Beautiful. I believe that I'm ready.
We wish you Sunday, Rabbi.
Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Beruchim Habayim to everybody. Today, Friday, Erev Shabbat Kodesh, Perashat Kitisa, Shabbat Parah, Makam Hijaz. 17th day of Adar, corresponding to the 10th day of March. Today's class dedicated for the Refuah Shelema of Abraham Rafael ben Elisheva among all of the Holim of Am Israel. Amen. Amen. I have a lot of topics to discuss today, but I'm going to start with something very special that's only applicable today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, not Sunday, but today. I'm going to say this now, so it's recorded. And then, for those who get the email, not the email, but the WhatsApp list, will get the audio of something that I learned today in the morning, as well as the printout of what I'm going to read now. So, before I give you the special mitzvah for today, let me introduce you to today's Perashiot. Perashat Kitisa, as we know, has the unfortunate tragedy of the Egel, the sin of the golden calf. This is one of the highlights of today's Torah portion for this weekend. That's the reason why the Makam is Makam Hijaz, which is the Makam of Tisha B'Av, the Makam of the Meragelim, Makam that usually read on a Shabbat, that there is an unfortunate tragedy or a mournful reason, like the passing of Sara in Menu, for example. That's also Makam Hijaz. I personally like very much the tune of the Makam Hijaz, although the idea is of something somber and sad. So, because of the sin of the Egel, we use a tune which is unpleasant in the theory of the music world. Baruch, Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, She'akol Nihiyah V'Baruch. Amen. Now, Perashat Parah is the antidote of Perashat Kitisa. The culprit of the Egel was the Egel, basically the calf, and the repair, the tikkun of the sin of the Egel is the Parah, the cow. That's what Rashi brings down. Let the mother clean up the mess of her child. Let the Parah atone for the sin of the golden calf. In the Animal History Channel, this makes sense. But let's understand a minute what's so special about the mitzvah of Parah. To give an introduction, the Parah Aduma refers to the red heifer, the beginning of Perashat Hukat, which is going to be the maftir for tomorrow. Like last Shabbat, we take out this Shabbat 2 Sefer Torahs, 2 separate Kaddishim, and a special Haftarah of Perashat Parah. But interesting enough, according to many opinions, the reading of Perashat Parah is a biblical commandment. That's why the Halakha writes, like last week in Zachor, you take out the nicest Sefer Torah. In Perashat Parah, you also take out the nicest Sefer Torah that the synagogue has on that particular minyan. And the question is, what makes Perashat Parah a biblical commandment? Before we answer that, let's discuss some of the halachic concepts of the red heifer commandment. The reason, number one, why we read it this Shabbat is because in order for us to be ready to consume the Korban Pesach, we need to be purified from the impurity of coming in contact with a dead body or touching someone that was in contact with a dead body. If the person was tameh, impure, in Erev Pesach, you cannot eat the Korban Pesach. Not a man, not a lady. So, a person in the time of the Bet HaMikdash that went to the cemetery or worked for the funeral home or work for the Hebra Kadisha, or carry a coffin, etc., all these scenarios brought an impurity to the body of the person called Tumat Met. The impurity of the human remain. Because today we do not have the Bet HaMikdash, we are all in the same level of impurity as far as concerned Tumat Met. Let me say, shake your hand. Shake my hand. And before you shook my hand, you shook his hands, and he shook his hands, and he shook his hands that he went to the cemetery a week ago. So everyone touched becomes automatically impure. But don't worry, you're still a nice person. There is no way to fix it until Mashiach comes. Says the Maimonides, the red heifer procedure and ceremony from the day of the creation of the world till today was done only 9 times. Started in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, Yehoshua, first temple, second temple. Since the second Bet HaMikdash, we did a Mehillah. Up to the time of the second Bet HaMikdash, including the second Bet HaMikdash, we did 9 times the red heifer. There is one more time coming up soon, when Mashiach comes. We're going to have Be'ezrat Hashem soon. This is going to be one of the requirements before we can even step foot on the Bet HaMikdash. Before one sacrifice can be done, we all need to be purified. We need to be sprinkled with the ashes and water of the Parah Aduma, etc. That was the Parah Aduma. Baruch Hashem, there is one Parah Aduma available now. It's in hiding because the last time they publicized the Parah Aduma, they gave a lot of Ain Hara, and the Parah Aduma near Lakewood, New Jersey, became not kosher. She became pregnant. She delivered a baby cow, a baby calf, and therefore became disqualified for the Parah Aduma. But doesn't matter. The Gemara writes, "Ena beracha mesuya ela bedavara samui min ha'ayin." Beracha is not found unless something is hidden from the eye. Meaning to say, the more you hide it, the more beracha you have. The more exposure you have, the less beracha you have. That's how it works. But I'm going to share with the Kahal a fascinating Hidush by Rabbi Chaim Palachi. And the Zahut of what I'm going to say now, it's a merit that only happens today. Only happens today, Friday, Perashat Parah. Now, for those watching the class, if you get my WhatsApp, you're going to get the link of what I'm going to say now. If you don't get it, reach out to me and I'll share the information with you. For those who get my daily WhatsApp and email, if you're in the email list of the synagogue, Be'ezrat Hashem, you will get it with the source and a link, because today is a day of action. But before we do the action, I need to talk. Okay? Now, listen to the Rabbi Chaim Palachi. I have it here. I highlighted the magnificent merit of today's actions. Listen to him. There are 2 powerful messages. Number 1, he says, on a Friday, Erev Shabbat Parah, like today, go to the mikveh. Listen to this. Even though that the rest of the Fridays of the year you may not have enough time to go, do this because this reminds you of the time of the Bet HaMikdash, number 1. And because there is a concept of reading Perashat Parah with the physical body of the holiness, purity. The way it's written, the Pasuk writes at the end of Perashat Parah, Vayeta lachem lechukat olam. Perashat Parah is found, Sefer Bamidbar, in the beginning of Perashat Chukat. It says, and this will be an eternal covenant, an eternal commandment. And it says, Parah Aduma is active and alive forever. And the question is, how could it be? If we just finished saying a few moments ago that the Parah number 9 was done during the time of the second Bet HaMikdash. So it explains, because there are 2 ways of fulfilling this mitzvah. The physical performance of the mitzvah in the Bet HaMikdash, or dibur. Dibur means to read it, to talk about it. שמצוות עשה לקרוא פרשת פרה בציבור because it is a positive commandment to read Perashat Parah with the minyan, which according to most opinions is a positive commandment from the Torah. And the question is, what makes the reading of the Perashat Parah a positive commandment from the Torah? I understand the doing is the positive commandment, but what about the reading? So I'm going to give you the answer, and then I'm going to move on to the second message, which is a Powerball. It's a Powerball message. Listen well. Of course. So, there is a concept found in many Sidurim, the concept known as Eser Zechirot. Many prayer books after Aleinu L'Shabeach have extracurricular reading. One of these items is the 13 Principles of Faith. Another of these additional items is called the 10 things that a person can never forget. You must remember daily. I say this prayer for years already. In 2 minutes you can do 10 mitzvot. Can you imagine? Not leaving the synagogue. It's in the Sidur. In many Sidurim. One of the things to remember, we discussed this briefly the other day, is the concept of remembering our rebellious behavior in the desert, specifically the sin of the golden calf. Most of the reminders are words. Shabbat, the man, the Torah, etc. Thank you, doctor. Now, one of the longest ones is number 6. Remember your rebellion against the Almighty in the desert, specifically the sin of the golden calf. So the Torah is telling me, don't forget the golden calf. You owe me one. Which, by the way, that's what Rashi writes. You owe him. We still pay. You need to know this. God made a deal with Moshe Rabbeinu. What was the deal that God made? Instead of paying the mortgage in 15 years or 30 years, God is telling us, pay your bill in 335 years. Yani, give me 5 cents a day. 5 cents a day. And you know what Rashi writes? And it says that there is no tragedy that affects the Jewish people that does not carry a part of the payment plan of the sin of the Egel. Meaning the Egel happened over 3,300 years ago, and we still are paying that bill. It's like you pay your credit card, and you never end. You pay your credit card, you never end. You finish 1 month, you get another bill the next month. You finish, you're happy, oh, I'm happy. Then you have another bill to pay. It's like living. Okay? So, the tikkun of the Egel is what? The Parah Aduma. The red heifer, the mother of the Egel, is called cow. So, the Egel is the baby, the mother is the cow. If your son breaks a glass in school, who pays the bill?
Mother.
The father. That means the parents. The same thing happened here. The Egel was somehow directly connected to the sin. Let the mother come and atone for the misbehavior of the child. Even though you may say it was a human-made sin, true. But what vehicle of sin they utilize? The Egel. Now comes, so therefore, based on this Torah biblical commandment that I have, that I must remember the Egel, automatically the Parah becomes a biblical commandment as well. And because ladies also need to be pure in order to enter the Bet HaMikdash and in order to eat from the Korban Pesach, according to many, ladies need to come to the synagogue to listen to Perashat Hukat. Perhaps may not carry the same obligation as Zachor, but a lady who wants to do the right thing, to try to make the effort to come to the synagogue tomorrow, otherwise read it from the Chumash in Perashat Hukat, Sefer Bamidbar, from the beginning of the Perashah till the one that says Lechaper al Nafshotechem 2. It's a 2024 verses. But now I want you to be ready for message number 2. Because we only talk about message number 1 for tomorrow. Now we have message number 2 that's only applicable today. So you better do it today. No, you better do it today. Belineder is good, but you better do it today. I'm trying to protect you. Yeah, I help you afterwards if you need help with that. Anybody who needs help with the step number 2, reach out to me immediately after the class because I only have 3 minutes because I need to go elsewhere. You can be sitting down. Comes behind Falachi and it says, a person who wants to supplement the mitzvah of the Parah Aduma should add to this mitzvah today, Erev Shabbat, to give charity. Ish kefi yecholto yeter al she'ar hayamim. Each person according to the financial means more than any other day of the year. Why? Because there is nothing that helps the person to be purified from the pills of impurity, which is the impurity that affects the life of the person, like giving charity. Sins cannot extinguish the deeds of charity, like sins cannot extinguish the learning of Torah. Through giving charity today on Friday, Erev Shabbat Perashat Parah, Zoche Liftoach Eshara Hamishim, the person opens the 50th gate of the heavens, Sheba Misham HaGeula, that Mashiach's arrival is determined by the 50th gate. And there is a book of prayer called the 50th gate. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, right? You familiar with it? Yes, Shara Hamishim. So, today is a day to give. Don't give me $1. You don't need me to spend 3 minutes of iTorah.com just to get $1. You know what I mean?
That's the jackpot.
So, we made a determination in the morning class when I gave this earlier today, very early, that whatever comes in, we're going to launch officially today the campaign to help the needy for Pesach. That we already have many families already registered to receive from your generous giving. So, Be'ezat Hashem, I think that for me, if this is the class, I'm done. But I'm not going to be done. I'm going to continue talking. You agree?
Yes.
I wasn't asking, but okay. So anybody who wants to read the Hebrew source, you have it right here next to me. Now, let's go to Parah. I have a beautiful source here. Thank you, doctor. That will take care of this. Perashat Parah. I will be sending this via email. Actually, the email already was sent earlier today. And the link will be sent via WhatsApp a bit later. I'm not doing it because I'm looking to fundraise. If I want to fundraise, I don't do this. I'll do it different, quiet, just pick up the phone and do what I need to do. But I don't want you, anyone, to miss the zechut that you have today. Can you imagine that giving today supplements the Parah Aduma? Unbelievable, of course. It says, the Gemara in Megillah, that the mere fact that a person reads the Parah Aduma reading or comes to the knees and to listens, that alone, it says, brings purity to the neshama of the person. Unbelievable concept. And it goes in that many times people believe the following. I'm going to say something based on the books of Kabbalah, that it says, why Purim is so close to Pesach? Short answer, Halacha says it, to connect both redemptions. the redemption, the miracle of Purim, and the miracle of Pesach. The Geula of Purim and the Geula of Pesach. The redemption and the freedom. You are a free person, correct? Yes, we all are. But I want you to know, says in the holy books, that there are people that are not free, that they are in jail. But I'm not referring the jail of MDK, TDK, and all these federal facilities. There are people that the neshama is in jail. So listen what it says. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from Purim until Pesach, activates rescue missions to redeem neshamot which are under the clause of impurity, of tum'ah. We all have Yetzer Hara, and probably some of us do things that perhaps should not be done. But I'm guaranteeing you that there are neshamot, that they are spiritually in trouble. Maybe due to non-performance of mitzvot, maybe not eating kosher, maybe not observing Shabbat, maybe not putting on tefillin, maybe addictions, maybe wrong friends that they have, and all that clogs the neshama. So it says here very clearly that from Purim till Pesach, Borei Olam redeems neshamot one day at a time. That suddenly all these people that are regretfully detached and disconnected from the Torah, from the community, from the Hachamim, Borei Olam injects a vitamin to suddenly the person wake up and say, Uli, what I'm doing with my life. I need to wake up and smell the coffee. Unbelievable Hiddush. And this happens in these 30 days. So the redemption, the Geula, is not only concerning the body, but the Geula also connects to the freedom of the Neshama to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What a beautiful Hiddush it brings here. It goes further, and it says as follows. The Gemara writes a very interesting statement. It says, Amar Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says, Ashrehem Israel. Great is the merit of the Jewish people. Lifnei mi atem metaharim etchem. In front of whom are you purifying yourself? Avinu shebashamayim, our Father in heaven. And the Gemara writes, Ma ha-mikveh metaher et hatemeim. Like going to the mikveh purifies the body of the person, HaKadosh Baruch Hu purifies the Jewish people. So explains here a very interesting concept, discussing the concept of purity. And it says that mikveh purifies the person, listening to Parashat Parah purifies the person, the 30 days between Purim and Pesach adds another layer of purification to the neshama of the person, and the observance and enhancing of the Shabbat brings holiness to the life of the person. And we know this already. Why? The Pasuk says, Ach echa betotai tishmoru. Beshameru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. Beni ubnei Yisrael tili ha'olam. Like we learned 2 weeks ago, the Shabbat is the umbilical cord that connects God with the Jewish people. So a person wants to get closer to God, we already gave you a few tips. Learning Torah, observing the Shabbat, going to the mikveh, listening to Parashat Parah, and all other matters which are definitely part of everyday life. Beautiful Gemara from the name of Rabbi Akiva. Goes further in the name of I believe the Sefat Emet. So it says as follows. Without any doubt, one of the holiest days of the year is the Shabbat of the reading of Parah. Because the reading of Parah is not only the purification of the body, but the purification of the soul. And where do we learn such a thing? The Pasuk in the Aventura tomorrow will talk about Yehezkel HaNavi. A Pasuk that says, Bezarakti alechem ma'im tehorim udhartem. I will sprinkle upon you holy water or pure water, and you will become purified. Now, explains here, and it says, the Pasuk goes further. Mikol tumotechem, from all your impurities. Benatati lachem lev hadash, I will give you a new heart. Beruach hadasha etem bekirvechem, and I will place in your heart a new spirit. And I will remove your hard stone rock heart, and I will give you a heart out of flesh. So it says the Be'er Haim that from these few pesukim that we all are going to read tomorrow, the Aventura that I just read is the Aventura that the world will read tomorrow. So it says the Be'er Haim, from here we understand that the emphasis that Yehezkel HaNavi is doing about the Parah Aduma is not necessarily only to purify a body that was in contact with human remains. That's the technicality of the red heifer. But the true purification is the cleansings of sins. The sins starting from the sin of Adam Arishon, that we all carry a remnant of it. That's why there is death in the world connected to the sin of Adam and Hava. And because we are humans, we all carry a residual cell of the sin. So it says that in this Shabbat there is so much kedusha that a person is able to, how do I say this? There is a word. Dissolve maybe all the mold and impurities that are staining the neshama of the person. Kills. You know what kills is? With a Z? What that is?
Zero.
After you paint or before you paint, you utilize something called kills. And the word says it all. It kills bacteria. I'm not sure if it's good for mold. Don't hold it to me.
Yes.
Okay, Hazako Baruch, it's good for mold.
Yeah.
You see, I'm the rabbi and even I know that. Huh?
You're a contractor.
I'm also a contractor, by the way.
You have to confirm. So
I need confirmation. The reason I say this, because I don't want anybody to say, I did what the rabbi said to paint the walls with kills, and he killed the wall. True, because kills is not the ultimate product. Kills is camouflaging. You gotta use primer, and then you gotta use paint. So imagine yourself that we do this to our neshama. We kill all the bacteria that our neshama has. This happens today, but specifically tonight throughout the entire Shabbat. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, I said this before. What I'm going to say next, I need to be very careful so nobody misunderstands. Just 1 second. Okay, he asks an interesting question, then I'm going to listen to your question. The Torah tells us that when it came the incident of the Egel, you're going to see this in tomorrow's Torah portion number 1. Aharon says, Hag LaHashem Mahar. Tomorrow is a holiday for God. That's what the Pasuk says. When Aaron was buying time, that's what it means. So comes the Be'er Haim and it says, how is it possible that Aharon HaKohen can say that in the midst of the planning for the Egel, suddenly tomorrow is going to be a day of holiness, of holiday. What holiday? You're smacking God in his face. Wait. So it says, is it possible that the day after the Egel will be a holiday? So comes the Vera Haim and it says, through the sin of the Egel, many happy days came to the Jewish people. The question is, which happy day? One of them, Kippur. Kippur. Kippur is the outcome of the sin of the Egel. Number one. Number two, it says, every Yehudi is given a fair chance to return. Even אם הוא עומד, it says, בשאול תחתית במקום עמוק. Even if a Jew finds himself in the abyss of spirituality or in the sewer tunnels, underground, yani the neshama is so stained, there is like a sewer tunnel. So it says nothing stands in front of the ways of Teshuvah. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu writes. And it says, just 1 second. And the Pasuk writes, says the Megaleh Amukot, David HaMelech writes in the book of Tehillim, Adamu behemat Toshia Hashem. We say this every Shabbat. In the afternoon, Sidkatcha. God and humans and animals are redeemed by the Almighty. What does it mean, humans and animals? So he explains as follows. 1 second. That a tikkun for an animal will be to do an offering. You slaughter the animal and you make a tikkun. The tikkun is not only for the sin that the person committed, the tikkun is also for the animal, because there are neshamot that come back as animals. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what does he do? He spares the animal's life by the person doing teshuvah, especially nowadays. We don't have animals to offer. We don't have korbanot. So meaning to say, that it's easier to do teshuvah today than in the time of the Bet HaMikdash. In the time of the Bet HaMikdash, you needed korbanot. Today, you don't need korbanot. Nobody needs to know that you're doing teshuvah. You connect with God, you talk to God, and you're done with. That's the gift that God is saving the person as well. And instead of God activating judgment, God enables the person to do teshuvah and to improve in their ways. Just 1 second. I'd like to say something today in the name of the Noam Elimelech. Since I'm not going to be here for the next few days, I'm sorry, no comments on that. There are days that I cannot be here. Sunday through Wednesday will not be class. But in the middle of the next few days, is going to be the yortzeit of the Noam Elimelech. You're going to have a backup. Rabbi Moshe will give the class on my behalf, but not broadcasting. But it says the Noam Elimelech, and it says the following. Number one, even if a person may have been behaving in a way that is not suitable for a Jew to behave like, don't allow, he says, sadness or depression to take over your life. Sometimes in the name of humility, people, they go extremes in matters. So it says, to be sad is dangerous, because sadness may be a roadblock to serve God. So therefore, says the Noam Elimelech, that a person needs to know that even if a person may have sinned tremendously throughout life, the easier pathways of teshuvah is through recognition of the sins committed, the commitment of attempting not to repeat them, and to be thankful and happy for the opportunity that God gives the person through the unlimited power and availability of teshuvah. Because teshuvah, it's like the person was reborn. You have a new identity. You no longer, let's use a fictitious name, Abraham the sinner. Now you are called Abraham the Baal Teshuvah. You have a new identity. And this identity can be received through the gift of Teshuvah. But it says in Elimelech that sadness, even for sins, is dangerous to the spirit of the person and to the body of the person. So, you got a question before?
You answered it.
I answered it. Baruch Hashem. You see how God works in beautiful ways? So, with this, what was the question?
The question was, can you compare what you said in the second part, where when you cleanse your neshama to Kippur?
Sure.
To Yom Kippur?
Sure. You see, Yom Kippur is the official day, but the truth is that you can make your Yom Kippur any day of your life without having to fast and purchasing a seat, as I said the other day, or purchasing aliyot. That's the advantage of the gift of Teshuvah. So I think that we cover a lot of ground between Berahaim, the Noam Elimelech, the Chaim Palachi, the Gemarot, Rabbi Akiva, and others. So Be'ezat Hashem, each one should do the best that they can to do what we learned about to do today, and to take advantage of tomorrow's very, very special Shabbat and mega Haftara. And Be'ezat Hashem, in the zechut of all of the above, we'll have the zechut of once and for all, having the 10th and final Parah Aduma, and then we'll have Beruah Hadasha Etem Bekirvechem, and your spirit will dwell inside of each and every one of us. If you have a chance today or tomorrow to read the Haftarah of tomorrow in English, do so, because you're going to see a lot of fascinating concepts and all relevant to our life and to the upcoming Mashiach's arrival. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך, הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידיר קדיש.
יתקדם ויקדש שמי רבה, ועמד יברך ויודה וימליך מחודה וצמח וגרם וגרם משיחי.
אמן.
יום יכול מעידכו בישראל, בגלל בזמן קרים רו אמן.
אמן יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך.
רבה מברך לעולם עלמי עלמיה יתברך, ישתבח ויפאר ברומם מנסף אגב ותאריך אלה שמי קדושה בריחו אלא מכל ברכתה שירתה תשמיעתה ונעמתה דמיה ועלמה ואמרו אמן. על ישראל ועל רבנם ועל תלמידיהם ועל כל תלמידי תלמידיהם
ועסקים בריתה קדישתה
היא בתרה לגבולתה ואתה
יהא לנו
נכון הינה וסתיו רחמם מי קודם מלא שמיה ואב אמרו
אמן.
יהא שלום רבה מי שמיה
חיים בשרה
בשורה מהמה שזבה בואה גדולה וצחה והפרה
ברבע
ושרה לכל עמו ישראל אמרו אמן.
אמן.
עושה שלום נאמר ובהמה ויעשה שלום לנו וכל עמו ישראל אמרו אמן.
אמן. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Put it in the kuppah?
No. You give it to me directly because it goes to the needy for Pesach.